we are at the point in the lesson now to think about what other strategies can be used to help students determine that objective we determined at the beginning of the lesson. So we wanted students to understand, why does salt melt ice? So earlier in this presentation, we gave you the strategy of the main idea wheel. In that article that we have found, if the students determine the main idea, they will understand why salt melts ice. So we have to think about what that instruction is going to look like to get students to understand that main idea. We are going to use the main idea wheel graphic organizer, and you can see on this slide I have an example of what that wheel would look like. So the center or the hub is where the main idea goes, and then all of the spokes are the supporting details. To start off, you want to make sure that you provide your students a purpose to read. You want them to think about maybe repeated phrases, because if we provide our students a purpose to read, it gives them direction and focus when they're reading. If we don't provide them that purpose to read, it can kind of cause confusion and make students think of multiple things instead of focusing on just one idea. So the first thing you probably need to do is have students read the article. Students, you could start off by reading the first paragraph to the students and maybe highlight words that are repeated to clue students to that main idea. Then students could read a couple paragraphs with a partner and do the same thing, highlighting things that are kind of repeated and things that relate to they believe the main idea. And the students could finish up on their own. Now, for some students, you may need to read the whole article with them to provide that differentiation. They may struggle with reading that article independently. So, of course, you could provide that support for the students and read that whole article to them. Once the article has been read, it is now time to kind of fill out that main idea wheel organizer. So again, I think it's important that you scaffold this instruction, especially if it's the first time that you're using this strategy. If it's a second or third time, or even farther down the road from that, students may be able to do it all on their own. But for the first time, I think it's important that you scaffold it and really model what you want for this organizer to look like. So at the beginning, I would talk about with students what were the things that they kept hearing over and over in that text, because that's going to lead us to that main idea. I would definitely, as a group, come up with what the main idea is if this was the first time of filling out that main idea wheel. Once you have determined the main idea, I would provide students an example of a supporting detail so students could understand what you're looking for. And then from there, I would maybe have students do a couple of them together with a partner, and then they could finish up on their own with that scaffolded instruction. You can see over my example of exactly what I would show them. So in the center, I have my main idea, and then I have two examples of what the supporting details would look like.